that the Colorado bureaucrats had displayed an incredible degree of hostility, even religious bigotry towards this Christian baker, who was more than happy to serve gay and lesbian customers in lots of different settings, but viewed his work in the setting of a wedding as something of a kind of artistic and religious expression. And therefore the court held in 7-2 majority, not even a close case, that bureaucrats can't display that kind of hostility towards people of faith when they're trying to live out their faith. It leaves some questions open to be settled. Hopefully, that can usually be resolved in a civil and productive fashion between our fellow citizens. But, I suspect it ultimately will come back to the Supreme Court again.
Senator Tom Cotton, News Radio 102.9 KRN. Does this open up the possibility of other types of discrimination, as in, I can't serve you because of your religious beliefs or because of your country of origin?
No, I don't think so, Kevin. And the Supreme Court yesterday stressed that it was the Colorado bureaucrats who were expressing that kind of bigotry. As they had said that these Christian beliefs had been used for some of the most vile practices in human history. And again, the baker in this case, Jack Phillips, was more than happy to serve gay and lesbian customers in lots of other settings. He didn't have some kind of sexuality test when you walked in the door. It was simply that he viewed himself in terms of making cakes for weddings as a expressive and artistic behavior that was protected by the First Amendment. And the Supreme Court said that state bureaucrats have to respect those religious beliefs, and they can't openly discriminate against them.
Kevin Miller, along with Senator Tom Cotton, News Radio 102.9 KRN. It looks like the meeting with North Korea is back on.
It is. It would appear. I guess we've got a week left to go before they meet. But I think Secretary Pompeo and the president had productive meetings yesterday with Kim Jong-il, a senior North Korean official. And I think the president has handled this in a fashion that's put Kim Jong-un on the back foot. Kim Jong-un, and just like his father and grandfather, are used to being unpredictable and provocative and generating crises that yield in concessions. President Trump has not gone down that road yet. He's willing to sit down and try to resolve the North Korean nuclear problem so it won't be a threat to the United States again, but we've made no concessions. We've given nothing up. When the North Koreans began to demand those kind of concessions and began to berate Vice President Pence and National Security Advisor John Bolton, the president simply said, I'm not going to take that. I'm not going to that kind of meeting. When they then came to the United States saying, please, we want to continue with this, he said, okay, we'll do it. I think right now that puts us in a good posture going in next week. The important thing to remember, though, is that we want this process to end with the complete and verifiable and irreversible denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. Anything short of that will leave the United States at risk to the Kim regime.
Kevin Miller, along with Senator Tom Cotton, News Radio 102.9 KRN. We know we want denuclearization there. What does the U.S. need to also come away with during these negotiations to consider it a win? And what does North Korea get out of it?
Well, first, I think we should have measured expectations for the summit next Tuesday in Singapore, Kevin. I mean, Ronald Reagan went through many years of negotiations, first with a series of Soviet premiers, as he joked, that kept dying on him before he finally found a premier, Mikhail Gorbachev, that allowed him over a series of summits to reach some important agreements about the status of our forces in Europe or intermediate-range nuclear missiles. So I don't think we should expect this problem to be solved on Tuesday. I hope it's a good first step that will allow us to verify that North Korea has completely and irreversibly destroyed its nuclear weapons program. At that step, we can then begin to talk with North Korea about what they might get in return, whether it's diplomatic recognition, a peace treaty with South Korea and the United States, or the lifting of various kinds of sanctions. But it's important that we see this as a first step next week towards our goal of denuclearizing North Korea.
Senator Tom Cotton on News Radio 102.9 KRN. Senator, the president putting out the idea of tariffs again. Canada involved with this, Mexico, our allies in Europe. Many not happy about the idea, including businesses, any number of Republicans too. Your thought on the tariffs that the president has presented and your thought on how it could directly affect our state?
Well, I want to make sure that our state, especially our farmers and our ranchers and our foresters, are getting a fair shake overseas. trade deals have to be evaluated on individual merits. You can't, in the abstract, say they're always good or they're always bad. It's like any deal that you make in the ordinary course of your business, buying a home or buying a car or whatever. And right now, a lot of our farmers and ranchers and foresters are not getting fair deals from other countries, to include countries that are very good partners because they're protecting their own domestic industries. What the president's trying to do is open up more of those markets for our businesses, for our farmers, for our ranchers, and our foresters, and I support that effort. Obviously, our trading partners don't like that, but one thing they can do if they don't like it is to be more even-handed and treat our products with reciprocity.
Kevin Miller with Senator Tom Cotton, News Radio 102.9 KARN. How are those trading partners being unfair with us in the way that Canada, we have actually a trade surplus with Canada?
But if you look at it at the individual product basis, you may have a trade surplus with Canada in the nation as a whole, but Canada has long discriminated against, for instance, softwood lumber production, which in Arkansas provides a lot of jobs. The last administration took steps to impose some tariffs in that field. President Trump expanded them last year. If you ask most people who are out in the forest in South Arkansas, they're probably pretty pleased with that. Now, what I would rather see is Canada stop discriminating against our products, and then we could reduce some of the tariffs that President Trump just imposed. That's what I mean when I say we need to have reciprocal trade. I am confident that America's workers, our farmers, our ranchers, our producers can compete with anyone in the world on a level playing field, but too many countries don't give us a level playing field, and frankly, too many politicians for decades have simply accepted that fact.
Senator Tom Cotton on News Radio 102.9 KRN. With those trade partners retaliating, the people that are in the industries in Arkansas, specifically agriculture, may be suffering for that. What do they do in the meantime?
Well, we're going to try to continue these negotiations. The president and his trade negotiators are in ongoing discussions. He's not simply saying we're putting these tariffs in place and we're walking away from it and that's it. He's trying to identify leverage where we can get the kind of better trade treatment that we haven't received for so long for so many of our farmers and ranchers and foresters. The president understands that. We've talked about it repeatedly. He said it publicly on numerous occasions. What he simply wants is a fair and level playing field for all of our agricultural products and, for that matter, for our manufactured products as well.
How you doing? You doing all right?
I'm doing great.
I'm a little tired now. It was a lot of territory to cover. Senator Tom Cotton, thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Kevin. Have a good week.
748 News Radio 102.9 KRN. A look at our headlines.